For polynomial p of x, the value of p of 3 is negative 2. Which of the following must be true about p of x? Okay, so x minus 5 is a factor of p of x minus 2 is a factor of p of x, and x plus 2 is a factor of p of x, right? And the remainder of when p of x is divided by x minus 3 is negative 2. So first we have to know what a factor is, right? A factor is basically a 0, right? And we have to kind of put this all in the context of dividing, because when you divide a number, right, a polynomial by one of its factors, right, you have the remainder of 0, right? So let's say that I divide x squared plus 4x minus 32, right? And I divide this by one of its factors, right? I know that one of its factors is x plus 8, right? So basically what you do first is you divide this by x and you get x right up here, and then you multiply it back, so you get x squared 8x, right? And then you subtract it, so you get 0 here, and then right here we're going to get negative 4x. And then you do the same thing, so 4x divided by x is minus 4, and then you multiply it back, you do minus 4x, and then 8 times 4 is, what is it, negative 32, right? And then you subtract that and you get 0, 0. So you have no remainder, right? And you get the other factor, right? X plus 8 and x minus 4, right? Okay, so now let's look at this graph right here, right? So I know it's not as big, but right here, you see that at points 4, right? And at points negative 8, you have zeros, right? But now, let's kind of pick a random point, right? And let's look at this point at negative 6 right here, right? And as you can see on the top right of this little screen, when x is equal to negative 6, y is equal to 20. When x is equal to negative 6, y is equal to negative 20, right? So I could tell you right now that if we divide, right, if we turn x is equal to negative 6 into a factor, right, we get x plus 6, right? And I will tell you right now that if we divide the equation by x plus 6, the remainder is going to be negative 20, right? Because right here, as we saw, when x is equal to negative 6, the y value is equal to negative 20, right? So let's just do this out real quick. X divided by x is x, you multiply it back, x squared, and you get 6x. You subtract it all, you get 0, negative 2x, right? And you divide it again, you get negative 2, and you multiply it back, negative 2 times x is negative 2x, and you do 6 times negative 2, and that's negative 12. And well, if you look at that, if you subtract that all, you get 0. What's negative 32 plus 12? Negative 20. And that ends up as your remainder. So I was able to predict the remainder of this just by looking at the graph, right? And the reason why that is because when you're dividing by, so I was able to predict the remainder of this just by looking at the graph, right? And the reason why that is because when you're dividing by any I guess factor, right? And whenever you have, the remainder is always going to be the y value of the x value, I guess. So you see how we had x minus 3, right? The x value for this is x is equal to 3. And based off of what we just discovered, if you plug in x is equal to 3, your y value is going to be negative 2. And we can relate that back to this original statement where they say that p of 3 is negative 2. So basically, this statement D is saying the same exact thing that this is saying, that at x is equal to 3, y is equal to negative 2, because the remainder is negative 2, and the y value is negative. All because of the fact that when you divide a polynomial by its factor, its remainder is the y value of the x value that you plugged in, or the x value version of the same factor. If you're still confused, feel free to message me. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope it helped.